Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to your word. Mary's response to God is yes. This is what I believe what made Mary so immaculate, or what it was about her that she was free from sin, is exactly in the sense that she was always open to God, where we say no at times. She says yes. And that is precisely the last ingredient when it comes to Advent. If we really want Christ to come into our life. She was willing to turn the wheel, the proverbial wheel, over to God and let God drive her life entirely and completely. That's what we are called to do in our life. If we want to give birth to God in our life, as Mary did to Jesus. I hope you've been praying for something new and wonderful in your life. I asked you to do that at the beginning of Advent. And I believe it is precisely in that God is going to do something new and wonderful if you're willing to say yes. If you're willing to say yes, what God can do in your life. So we kind of look at those things. What ways are we saying no to God? Are we saying no to God in our prayer? Are we struggling with prayer? Are we praying? Sometimes it can be a struggle. I know that when I was younger, it was a struggle for me. And mainly it had to do with the attitude of prayer. I felt like I had to really work hard. It was very tense. It's supposed to be a relationship. And I was very concerned with counting the number of prayers that I said. Now I realized as I've grown, that it's a relationship. And I'm much more relaxed with God. Just having a conversation. And my prayer is very simple. These are the things, God, that I am thankful for. Thinking them over. And these are the things that I'm struggling with, that I need help with. And these are the people who are struggling that have asked me to pray for them or that I think of. And then, as opposed to saying a bunch of prayers, I meditate on one prayer. Now think about that. Sometimes we say no to God because we make it more complicated than it is. We have this high ideal, and it's really supposed to be something much simpler that we are asked, that God is asking us to say yes to. I know in prayer there's always that little, for me, I don't know about you, but it's always that little hump to get over at the beginning of actually setting the time aside and actually beginning. But once I do that, I could just remember that it's so much better once I get past the hump. Are you saying no to God in getting involved in the ministries of the church? There are so many ministries, and what I want to suggest is that you pick one or two and you do them well. A lot of people, when I say this, their reaction is, well, they really start to think about it and they say, well, I really want to say yes to this, and then the next thing you know, they're trying to do all these things, and then nothing happens. Don't do that. Pick one ministry. This week, we are in need of liturgical ministers, really bad. We need some ushers to sign up at all the masses, And at the 3 and the 4:30, we especially need 6 ushers to sign up. And then we need extra communion ministers for the overflow at the 3 and 4:30. Or the other ministries in our parish, just getting involved in one of them. Maybe it's the food pantry. Or one thing that I tell you that can make such a huge difference in your life. It's the small faith communities. Can make a huge difference. I know that we only have them online right now, but eventually we'll also have them in groups when we can be with each other physically. And the last thing we say no to so often is to getting help. We often in our faith life, I experience so many people that face a roadblock in their life, and their spirituality stalls. They get stuck, and naturally, they even maybe quit because of their pride, because they won't ask for help from those people who can help them. Something powerful this Advent could very well be finally asking for some help in our life. Maybe just as simple as talking about prayer, that you've been stuck in prayer. Whatever it might be, you could call me. Say yes to God. I know that this is a difficult Christmas, and that we won't get to celebrate the way we would like to, per se, depending on our situations. And it's been a long Advent, hasn't it? In the sense that I'm not talking about when it began, what was it, November 29th, but when it began back in the spring. A long Advent of waiting. But I ask you to pray, as I said, for something new and wonderful. And it may not come according to a church calendar on December 25th, but it will come. All we need to do is to believe and to trust and to say yes to God with our lives.